Guys, I don't post a video for a couple days, and what happens? It's like the whole world just goes batshit crazy or something. We're going to be breaking down, obviously, all the insanity because as soon as I said the market was crashing, I bought some stocks. They pumped immediately. We're like back at all-time highs. We're going to talk about pre-market, preluding, what was going on with Donald Trump here. We'll discuss a little bit, take a look at some of the political landscape, which I usually don't do. And then we're going to obviously take a look at all the positioning, see what's coming up in the week of earnings. We're starting to get into earnings season here, folks. So it's going to be a fun-filled evening. If it's something that you think you'd appreciate, hit that like button and subscribe. If you're on a path to financial independence and damn well, perhaps one day retire early, folks. But I am myself trying to avoid the political conversation so much. The only thing I couldn't wrap my head around is it's been like 40 years since like any kind of political assassination took place. And that is the landscape that we now live in. This is what politics is boiled down to. A crazy kid, people just mentally insane here, falling apart a little bit. I don't like Trump all that much, no more than I don't like Biden. I don't like either of the parties. It's kind of a shit sandwich here that we're stuck between. But hey, I think Trump's going to win. At this point, sorry, got hiccups already from saying that. Woo, baby. Yeah, we were joking in the group because if you're on gambling websites, the odds for Trump just went like way up because now you have Bill Ackman, Elon Musk, and all these major billionaire endorsements just coming out of the woodworks. But yeah, what a crazy moment in history. I don't even know what to add to it. I mean, what do you guys think? It's more than politics. Yeah, I'm not going to try and go down the conspiracy path, but we live in the generation of memes now. So we'll take a look at what's sparred from this, other than now we have a new political photo for his rallying. So I'm sure this is going to be seen at least until November. I'm sure we're going to see this one on the new posters. My buddy sent me this one almost immediately, which was quite humorous, The Matrix. A lot of these sports ones I don't get. I'm a bit of a nerd myself, so I'm sure these are just people missing their shots. We got Lyric Vault. Lana Del Rey denies involvement in assassination attempt on Donald Trump. I would have missed. This one was pretty funny, I guess. New Trump album cover just dropped. That's funny. What do we got here? Football players after being touched. Donald Trump after being shot. What's this one? I haven't seen this one. Trump leaving the rally. Some Fortnite jokes. Anything good in here? I haven't actually looked through these. Trump versus the bullet. Biden versus the stairs. That's a good one. Biden after having to speak for 5 minutes. Trump after getting shot. They're so bad, man. So bad. Look at it. I mean, it's literally within a day. I mean, people were just posting memes like they were going out of style here. It was all staged. No way in hell you can miss with that many shots. Yeah, I think the shooter only shot 2 or 3 times because the following shots were Secret Service that knocked him out. I think there was a video showing like it was only like 300 yards away or something. But I mean, the dude's head was turned. Like Trump's head was turned, and that thing just. I mean, if he was still facing forward, I'm sure it might have been a different story. I mean, we're talking about. I don't know. I've never tried to. Shoot someone before. I don't know how hard that shit is, but I think if his intended, outcome was to get rid of Trump, it seems like he's only, boosted his odds at this point. That's crazy take, lol. A Trump win will be a boost for, yeah. See, like I said, I'm not trying to get down the conspiracy path. I honestly don't know here. This is just something wild that came out of the blue, right? It's something insane. SS got him in like 3 seconds. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, everyone's kind of shitting on them, and it seemed really ridiculous when you saw the video from where the guy was like shooting from, and you could pretty much see him in clear day. So I don't know. We'll see what kind of fallout preludes this. But honestly, when it comes to the stock market side of things, I'm shocked because I really wasn't sure how the market would take this, and I'm sure it would have been different if it went another direction. But I'm shocked that the pre-market is green. But then again, pre-market is like listening to a psychic. Usually she'll tell you one thing and it means something totally different when the market actually opens. And on the market discussion here, I think it's also kind of crazy too that we're starting to see a bit of a rotation in stocks. Now, this usually doesn't last forever. I mean, earnings will be a deciding factor, I think, to what happens. And tech stocks are getting a little pricey, so these earnings are probably priced in at this point. But a lot of money's been rotating out of tech this week into the lower half of the market. So it would be neat to see if this is something that continues, or if it's something that I'm like I said, where do you guys think the market's going tomorrow? Honestly, I'm kind of a coin flip away right now. If we are in that much of a bull market that a presidential almost assassination here could bring it down, maybe. I don't know. You could consider this a black swan event. Time will tell here, but it's definitely the lower half of the market. If this trend continues, it's going to continue to boost. I think it's one of these things where the trend might remain your friend. It could only be for a couple days, but last time these stocks rallied, it wasn't long-lived. But again, we will find out because the TSX has also been up quite a little bit. So we've seen the Qs lagger for the first time in a little while against the rest of the market, and because the S&P had the lower half kind of supporting it, finished the week green. SCHD pumped. I mean, 3% in the week was awesome. We got the VDY that also pumped 2.5 points, which is kind of unusual. I think it's riding on earnings of TSMC and Netflix. Yeah, speaking of earnings, I mean, we can bring this up real quickly and just to abbreviate here is we've got a couple big ones, man. We've got ASML, we got Johnson & Johnson. I mean, there's so much happening midweek that should be entertaining, though. I mean, J&J has kind of become a bit of a dead in the water stock, I think, for a lot of people. It hasn't been doing a whole lot. TSMC, I think, that'll be an interesting one for sure. I think, can't you just look at the monthly? Let me just see. With TSMC, they usually show the monthly revenue, right? If I do monthly revenue, I mean, can't you get a gist of what their earnings are going to be like just based on the monthly reportings? Let me just pull this up because this could be a good indication. Either that or I'm wrong. I usually don't look into these too often. No, I mean, they do show you all the way to June, right? Let me pull this up here for you guys. Yeah, so when it comes to chip makers, I mean, we've been seeing some pretty absurd numbers. I mean, TSMC here for 2024 monthly revenue going up to June has been up 32% and 60% for the quarter on a year-over-year basis. I mean, this means in total, I mean, if you divided some of that out, we're what, maybe 40% revenue growth for this quarter? I mean, I think TSMC is one of the few companies in the chip industry that does. There's a few chip companies that do this. Does the market go up or down because of yesterday, or does the market go up or down because of yesterday? That's the debate, right? I think we're in one hell of a bull market. I think if it was like a lot worse than it turned out to be, and he actually ended up, dying, I really think that could have I'd have a hard time believing the market would be green the next day on that. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of a black swan event. It ended up not being so great still. I mean, I think one of the audience members lost their lives, which is crazy unfortunate. Domestic terrorism is a horrible, horrible thing here. Assassination attempts from your own people is just crazy that the political landscape is that divisive right now. But, people are crazy. There's always a percentage of people out there that are nuts. Down 10 to 15% on my REITs and energy. Cut losses and diversify out, or just be patient and hold the interest rates to increase. Just general option. Wait. Or just be patient and hold for the interest rates to increase. What do you mean increase? You mean decrease, I'm presuming, just in general opinion. We'll talk about that in a quick moment here. I want to get through a couple things, and then we're going to talk about interest rates and then what's going on here. Memes about the attempted murder, obviously disgraceful. This is coming from people who demand we get arrested for using the wrong pronouns. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a heated conversation. I feel like there's a lot of sides to this. I just try and remain as impartial as possible because, man, I've seen Trump supporters just come out blazing. And I've also seen people just saying, horrible, disgraceful things too, right? Like, obviously, why did they miss? They shouldn't have missed. It's like, yeah, but, the guy doesn't deserve to die over a political debate. I don't think anybody deserves to die over that crap. But again, it's divisive. It's incredibly heated. It's horrible. But the memes will live on. Sadly, I'm a degenerate clown. I live through the memes. So when a catastrophe hits, usually I'm looking at the memes because, comedy's usually the best way to get through disgrace. Let's see here. I just feel like that's going to dominate the whole conversation tonight. I love your guys' opinions, though. I mean, what do you think? It's fun to kind of adjacent this to something more entertaining like memes and what the market's going to do, but it is a horrific event that is terrible to a lot of extents. It's kind of crazy, really. I mean, the portfolio here is going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, because even with Tesla pulling back as hard as it did, I'm shocked that I'm still like at all-time highs, because I took a big 10% dip with the size of the position. It's like $3,000 yet, with that CHD popping off 3% this week and VOO still holding up with VDY. I mean, we did pretty well, all things considered here. And I'm also excited to see what the future holds for some of these Tesla events. We're going to see. I think they pushed it back to October. Whether that's true or not, who the hell actually knows? But Tesla's back in the S&P top 10 now, baby. We're replacing JP Morgan for now, but honestly, I think it's becoming somewhat of a meme stock again. Too many memes going on here. When things get this heated and frothy in the market, I hope you guys are looking at taking profits if you've been holding some crazy stocks. Don't get me wrong, man. I love Tesla. Palantir always looks intriguing at the right price. All these companies will at the right price, but right now they're all nuts. and it's fun to see what's going to happen here. For as long as these stocks are pumping, man, the market's going to keep going up. ABR, my REITs took a dump this week. I think it's down 18% short squeeze or legit fraud concerns. Oh my God. All right. We'll pull up some stocks here because you guys are asking 10 bajillion questions. I'll get into a few questions of people that commented prior on the videos we posted this week, and then we'll kind of scroll through if you guys have any questions or comments here, because Kevin O'Leary's interview on BNN I have not thought, but we'll take a look at WNDR in 2 seconds here. First and foremost, we'll get some of the questions around the portfolio. I mean, what stocks are in your RSP? I saw your previous video and it looked like SCHD and VDY. Why not VOO? Maybe I'm missing something here. Right now, I only have SCHD and Tesla in my RRSP. And the reason for that is because I eventually want to draw the dividends off SCHD. And I'm primarily just using Teslas, and it was just an extra place to buy shares when I had contribution room because I wanted to buy more, but I'll probably eventually sell it in there if it keeps pumping enough and put it all into SCHD. Because I like the immediate dividend growth I'm getting out of SCHD, and I'll probably start pulling the dividend somewhere in the next 5 or 10 years at the max. And I don't want VOO as a growth position in there. I'd rather have it in my TFSA or in my corporate account, because the dividends are going to get devastated by 15% withholding tax if I put it in any other account. Your video on April 19th shows a cost basis of 201K. This video on July 11th shows a cost basis of 238K. In just under 4 months, you have saved 37,000. That is a monthly average just under 10K. That's very impressive. Great job. It's good to see hard work and hustling pay off. Cheers. Yeah, so some of you, I guess, are starting to do the math on how much I'm contributing to my portfolio. And, I get sponsors on this channel. I have a full-time job as well, as many of you do. So, I have some decent disposable income that, for the most part, just goes into the portfolio as aggressively as I can possibly be with it. I don't know what my contribution room is this year. Maybe I'll do a breakdown at some point. Recently, in the last few months, maybe it could have been around 10,000 a month. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check, because you got to keep in mind that I think in the last 3 months I sold Google. Anytime I sell something and take profit on it, or I move things around as well, I lose the cost basis on it and I don't keep track of it. So, but between the growth and the profit and, just working hard, it obviously pays off when you see the kind of growth that I've got in my portfolio. I thought dividends in RSP are safe. Yes, that's what I'm saying. SCHD stays in my RSP because it completely waives the 15% withholding tax. It is the only account where you can truly buy US stocks and not have to pay any withholding or capital gains tax. Obviously, until you pull it out, then it's taxed at your regular rate. But again, I like the dividend income, and the end game here is to eventually start drawing dividends sooner than when I'm 65. And I've been talking about this with my fiance. We have fairly regular discussions about, trying to get control of our finances. And I'd like to still have a balance at some extent of growth and income. And I want my income to get closer to 3%. Because right now, we're again, I don't need the dividends right now, so I don't really care. But the long game here is to eventually start migrating probably a 50-50 portfolio of dividend-oriented stocks and 50% the S&P 500. I like the ideas of the Qs in tech, but I'm looking at it as I'm taking advantage of it today, so I can just rely on a more balanced portfolio in the future, which honestly, with the dividend stocks paired to the S&P, I think it just equal weights it out. Because as I did that review last week talking about the percentages of sectors I have exposure to, they're fairly equal weighted right now. With the exception of a few. But yeah, it blows my mind how much his portfolio consistently goes up. But again, man, I don't know. Do you guys not work, contribute regularly? Again, I don't do anything crazy here. I'm actually quite a boring investor for the most part. And hell, even my speculative stocks are actually doing pretty well. Not that I care. Same with gold. I don't even include the gold. Our gold and silver is up a huge amount. I've got a decent little, I don't know how much gold or silver. I never keep track of it, but we probably got an ounce or whatever. And, just some small stuff and collectibles. And I'm still buying dumb collectibles. Maybe I'll do an office tour in a video coming up. I've been meaning to. Since I moved into this place, I've been really decorating the office up here. I've been making it a lot more professional as of late, but you never see it because I have this weird green screen thing on. Though I've always had a dream to have such an office set up that I don't need the green screen or the overlay from StreamYard or Zoom or whatever. I blended total dividend yield of 2 to 3% for your time frame is probably perfect. Yeah, no, that's the ideal area to be, because I figure, again, because I'm not retiring early, but I need to be in a position where I just want to be able to utilize the income earlier than retirement, even though I'll probably keep working. And I just don't want to give up the growth. And I always feel like 3%, again, I think honestly, you could get whatever you want. If you wanted to make 10% off the market and spend 10%, just own the S&P. If it goes up, just take some percentage off. You can spend pretty much, for the most part, whatever you make in gains as well. It's not like you need the dividends. It's just that I always feel like if I don't touch the portfolio ever and I don't sell any of the growth positions, I could probably draw off if I get 400 or 500K at 3%. It's not a huge amount of money. I mean, we're talking maybe what is that, 12 grand on $500,000 or something like that. But $1,000 a month of just extra disposable income without losing the growth of the portfolio, I think would be beautiful. Because typically SHD, VDY, a lot of these dividend stocks that I would buy tend to go up with the S&P. But what are your thoughts on VYM versus SHD and VT? I'll probably do a video on this a little bit later on. VYM is fine. I just like SHD because it's got a bit more diversity and a bit more performance behind it. VYM, it's not terrible though. I mean, they're all good. The problem is when you start owning it, here's the hard thing, right? Like if you're buying the S&P and then you're buying dividend ETFs like this, you got to be careful with the overlap and what you're doing because there's so many similar stocks between a lot of them. And I feel like VYM has more, maybe I'll just pull it up real quick and then we'll start answering some of the backdated questions I told you guys I'd get to here. I just want to see real quick what the holdings are because I always feel like VYM really, if you own the S&P, you're really kind of overstating quite a select few companies. Because I think VYM does have a lot of big ones. Yeah, like JP Morgan is already an S&P top 10 company, and you're going to be continuing to upper weight it. Broadcom's in here, which, to be fair, has been going up a lot, but I think is somewhat overvalued. ExxonMobil, I'm not the hugest fan of. I do like Procter & Gamble. I like Johnson & Johnson. Home Depot's in here. Am I sharing this? I can show this to you guys real quick. Sorry, I've kind of clicked off of it. Let me pull it back up here for you. Yeah, you got Merck & Company, AbbVie, Walmart. Like, I just feel like you're owning a little. You're just kind of diversifying the S&P stocks a lot more. I feel like SCHD is a little bit more strategic in some of the stocks they pick, and I feel like the diversity that it offers goes a little bit beyond VYM. Because the thing is, if you buy 3 or 4 of these dividend ETFs, you're just giving up the diversity and maybe just spreading yourself a little bit too thin. Again, I'm a boring investor, right? Like I really don't want to be owning like 4 or 5 different ETFs. And if I am, they need to be very segregated. I really like the BMO low volatility ETF. It really holds a variety of stocks that just aren't really top TSX listed. Which is great, I think. I've been debating on buying it, to be honest, just for some diversity. But I'm always looking at, if I'm going to buy something, it has to not be an overkill weighting as it is in the moment today. But let's take a look at some of these stuff. Let's take a look at WNDR. What is WNDR? Because it sounds like it's one of the crypto stocks. Yeah, Wonderfy Technologies. Yeah, this one's been beaten into the ground, man. What does Wonderfy do again? Is it a crypto play? What's up, Wonderfy Technologies? To be honest, if Kevin O'Leary is talking about it, I probably wouldn't buy it. He's not the best at picking stocks. Yeah, providing investors with diversified exposure across global crypto ecosystems. I think crypto, for the most part, is an entire pump and dump. I think it's mostly, I honestly just think most of it's a Ponzi. I would avoid it like the plague. Everything that I want to have happen isn't happening. Like the what's the Midnight Society that Dr. Disrespect worked with? There was another drama queen or drama moment, I guess. If you don't know Dr. Disrespect, he's like the biggest gamer live streamer, and he was going to come out with this brand new video game with NFTs as part of the game, where you get all these things you win in the game that are limited, and you can sell them off platform. It'd be the first of its kind, sort of a thing, and now there's drama with him, so I don't think that is going to do exceptionally well because he would have been able to push it pretty good. There's a lot. I don't know. Crypto is so nuanced. Everything about it sucks for the most part. NFTs could be something good in the future. I know companies right now that are partnering with banks to try and lower the rail costs of microtransactions. So like if you're buying, like you can't really buy, it's hard to buy individual music. It's hard to buy going to a store and spending $1 on something. Most stores outside of major businesses will not let you spend $1 on some item. So I know some crypto companies out there, I think I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. I think it's called TotaQ or something. They partner with some pretty big banks to try and use, blockchain as a method to completely lower transaction fees. I don't know. It's a mess. Honestly, everything I see in crypto is a mess still. Bitcoin goes up, everyone gets excited. Why? I don't know. I own some Bitcoin. I own some Ethereum. Do I care? It's just like my small caps. It's kind of like my gold and silver. Things that I just put in the back. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, whatever. I'm not betting the farm on it, Crypto is just full of scams and BS. Like, I think there's, like, again, I get the bull talk, and I get that there's some reality to it. It's just there's better Bitcoin can't be the solution. It's not a good solution for a lot of reasons, but people know because it's the biggest one that exists that they're going to build all the backend rails off of it, like Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash has some opportunity, I guess, but I've moved Bitcoin. I've been in it, guys. I have my Trezor wallet. I've been around the block. I've seen how transacting Bitcoin works. Moving it around is a headache. Honestly, like if you're not putting enough on the spread for like a commission for when they actually solve the block, sometimes it doesn't even get solved. Like, you ever tried sending crypto and debating on how much you want to pay on the rails? It's just so bad, and it's slow and tedious sometimes. I mean, you might have to go in and increase the block fee, a reward, if you want to get it to move quicker. It's just, I don't know. It's clunky. It's very clunky. Thanks for your insights. Nice to have options at least. Can't help but overanalyze a lot of times. No, it's good. Overanalyze whatever you want. I don't think WonderFi is necessarily a bad stock. I mean, it could be having a comeback with the way crypto is going. These are things where honestly you need to look at it yourself and come to a conclusion of if you think you like it, then buy it. It's like me and Tesla. They're just like a Duro Clean Tech. Like, there's just some companies that I have exposure to, but it's so limited in the scope of all these holdings. And it's just like, I don't know WonderFi. I don't know Palantir. I don't know so many things. I do a lot better if I just blindly bought stocks right now because everyone seems to be making a fortune. I just don't have those kind of cojones. I don't have the guts to dive into that kind of shit without being comfortable. Because Tesla, like, I don't care if it drops 50%. I feel like no matter what, there's going to be another hype cycle with it. I don't know. I've been around the block for it. I got some feel for it for an expensive meme stock, Could lose some money. I got like 30 something thousand in it. Could burn me. Who knows? That's what makes entertaining videos, guys, is watching me lose money and then not lie about it or hide it like many other YouTubers do. I've had some bad runs. It hasn't always all been great. So we'll see if it continues to be great and for how long. But I'm going to tell you right now, let me just make a statement right now. I've been here for the bad times. We bought the bottoms of the market. We've now made a small fortune in a very short period of time. Yet again, it's like clockwork. It's like everyone gets all upset when the market crashes and we all point fingers at Jeremy and all these idiots for buying meme crap. And, they gambled this money. They made millions. They lost millions. But what are you doing? It doesn't matter what the fuck these guys are doing or what I'm doing. What the fuck are you doing? Are you buying the dips at least? That's like the hardest thing I noticed that people do. It's like the stock market craters. And the only thing making money is high interest accounts and GICs and maybe some locked up bonds or something. And everyone starts flooding into those, the bottom of the market. And here I'm sitting screaming to you guys. It's great to have some cash. It's great to have an emergency fund. Put it in a high interest. There's nothing wrong with that. But what did I say? I said, this is probably the best opportunity to buy stocks. My mother, she retired and she was scared. She's like, what do I do? She's like, maybe I put a lot more of it in GICs. She goes to the bank. The bank advisor says the same thing I say. The markets are cratered. Why wouldn't you be buying? It's the best time to possibly buy stocks. What happened? Boom, she made a small fortune. It's like, come on, guys. You gotta be in the game, man. I always just feel like all this shit's going on and people are just kind of all over the fucking place. Everyone's on the sidelines, only wants to say how right they were without actually doing anything. That's the problem. Like, everyone's shitting on Jeremy now. Like, I know I watch a lot of the drama YouTube. I'm sure you guys do, like Strongman Personal Finance. And I just don't get the endless ripping on Jeremy because it's like he's making a fortune right now. He pivoted from bad decisions because none of us are going to make good decisions all the time. Is he a bit more of a degenerate gamble than the rest of us? Yeah, probably. He's probably like, he likes his individual stocks, but when it works, it works. It doesn't matter. He's making money. I haven't killed it that much, bro. I've done well. Definitely have done well, probably above average. Almost 10 years now of a solid outperformance of the S&P, which is super hard to say. Yeah, but there's always time, man. There's always time. That's the thing, right? It's like, the best, like everyone, I could go back so many times and say I missed out on this or I missed out on that, but I'm still doing shit today. I just bought stocks when the market was at all-time highs. Like, I'm still looking and just always buying stuff because it's the only thing that has ever worked. It's like, I like to say I'm a genius, but it's like, I just bought stocks. I just kept buying them. Even when I was scared, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sell the individual ones. I'm going to buy an ETF and I'm going to keep buying the ETF. I'll be a little bit more aggressive when it's down. And it just works. It always seems to work. For now, again, doesn't mean it's always going to work either. That's the scary fucking thing too, right? It's like some guy slapped me upside the head and hit me with a hard truth of reality because I'm like, why take on all this risk when the S&P has done what it's doing and continues to do what it's doing? It's like, there's no guarantee the S&P goes up. It's like you go look at Chinese stock market, the Canadian TSX, and it's like it's been a very slow and visceral ride. If you've been in the S&P and in the U.S. markets, it's been a joyride. But that's just the market, I guess, right? Like, you kind of got to go to where money's being made. And it's a fact of reality, unfortunately, because diversity, everyone's like diversity, diversity, and protect yourself. But the more you diversify, the less growth you're going to have. And for the most part, diversifying does not seem like the best idea. And when I mean diversifying, I mean to a certain extent, because I don't think global market indexes are something I'd want to hold. If the market shifted and China came around or something happened, I would probably adjust my portfolio accordingly, but I wouldn't just adjust it for the sake of diversity and buying Chinese stocks. I'm still waiting for a crash and seems like it will never come. You got to cost average, bro. Never wait for a crash. There'll always be another one, but I'll tell you my 2 cents of advice. I'm going to answer a couple more questions because some of you have been asking me about things like Pepsi and some of these other fun stocks. But I'm going to tell you the only strategy that I know that is exceptionally well worked, and this is not my advice. I hear these from people that are much smarter than I am. There's an investor here in Canada that I watch, some Asian guy, super awesome dude, and he said the best advice I can possibly give you is buy stocks, buy the S&P 500 every single month. Just buy it every single month. And when the market tanks by 10% or more, double up your contributions. And just when the market's rallying like this, just take a little bit of extra cash and just start putting it into a crash emergency fund. Just always have some emergency investment money around for in case the market dips by 10%, and then double up your monthly contributions as the market starts to go down 10% and more. And that advice, honestly, is worked wonders for me because it's what I've done over the last year and a half or so. Every time the market took a major dip, and I've seen it just excel people's portfolios. Yeah, you're doing great. I've been heavy into altcoins since 2017. Now only been introducing div and income strat to complement. I substitute QQQ with altcoins, and the rest is in energy REITs. And that is a fascinating portfolio. I want to talk about that from the utility front because I want to talk about Pepsi and stuff because I think it's interesting. But the conversation of choice lately, I've noticed, is a lot of people like talking about utilities. I always debated on buying some utilities. There's some I think I was looking at a GIC once that was market backed by a utility ETF that offered higher than normal GIC returns. But if we take a look at Fortis, which of course, because Google doesn't like Canadian stocks, if I look up FTS.to, will it bring it up? I hate that Google changed something, and now there we go. You have to be very specific on how you look up Canadian stocks. Yeah, Fortis. So like I said, my biggest fear with these kind of companies, and the reason that I haven't been buying them, even though I've heard Kevin O'Leary and I've heard so many people go on about like the utility upgrades, and I'm seeing it personally with, the electrification of everything. Utilities are going to be massively upgrading here. But I don't know the landscape of it, right? Because if I can put my own power wall in my house and people start adopting a little bit more personalized energy resources, I don't know. I honestly don't know what way utilities are headed. I just know the energy demand is going to go up, and how that gets serviced, I don't know. But my biggest fear with a lot of these companies is you get stuck in these droughts. Like I said, the dividend's great. You're getting 4.33%, but then you got to sit here for 5 years where the stock has abysmally done nothing. Now, is it trading for a decent value? Yeah, probably, especially if interest rate cuts come into play. Like, it's a very steady Eddie kind of stock. These are just kind of the stocks where I look at them and I just kind of come back to that floating idea that I'm not in retirement yet, and I need a utility that has growth potential. And 5-year performance where it doesn't do anything, doesn't exactly excite me. Not that past performance equals future return, but if I'm going to look at something, I'm going to look at something that actually has some upside potential when it comes to things like nuclear energy, perhaps. I've always been a big fan of Southern Company, though I used to own it. I haven't bought it back recently. It has a great 5-year return. Year to date, it's been absolutely crushing. Maybe not to the market average extent, but with the dividend, actually, it's probably been keeping close with market returns, maybe off by a few percentage points. But still, these kind of ETFs or these kind of stocks I like a little bit more. Again, if I'm picking individual stocks in these sectors, which I'd rather not, there's a lot of cool ETFs out there that hopefully market weight some of these. But I think if AI causes an energy shortage, then utilities profit margins should surge. So, Mark Zuckerberg was talking about it. There's a lot of big companies that are trying to figure out how to power these data centers, and they're looking at nuclear energy as a solution. There's going to be a lot of interesting conversation around power in the future and who's going to be selling and providing and what. But just be careful. The only utilities I really have kind of an affinity for is Hydro One. I do like Southern Company a lot. I've always been fixated on Hydro One. Its 5-year performance has just been absolutely absurd. I have some reason to believe a lot of the performance has been for the fact that it's been a government spinoff, and the government's probably doing some nefarious things here to keep this going the way it's been going, because the earnings and revenue haven't been that crazy, but the stock's done exceptionally well. Hello, amigo. It's good to see you. What's going on? So when it comes to these stocks as well, right? Like I I've lost a lot of faith in some of the like outside. Okay, here again, this is the biggest dilemma that I have with the market is that at any given time there will only usually be a handful of stocks over say a 3 to 5 year period that really propel the market. And it bothers me immensely because unless you're actively involved, like you believe in Nvidia and you bought it and now you're kind of at this level where you're able to take profit and you've done exceptionally well, that's like the best and only way to really do it outside of ETFs. Because I sit here and I look at companies like Pepsi, and this comes back to the point of past performance doesn't equal future return. And I've been seeing Pepsi struggle as of late, right? Like, 5-year performance is just not that stellar. They kind of hit a slump as of recently. I think they're doing good based on their last earnings, but I've seen a lot of their products start to stagnate by volumes. They have very expensive products. These were companies that thought they could just infinitely raise the prices on their brands. And I just, I start losing my fixation for it because I used to love Doritos. I used to love a lot of Pepsi products. Now, I don't know. I have to look how much Pepsi products do I actually consume these days? Probably like none. Maybe a few. If they do orange juice or something, maybe. I think they maybe have some orange juice brand because we do buy orange juice once in a while. But honestly, I don't drink pop. I think, do they own bubbly? We do drink sparkling water now and again. I think they do have some exposure to that. I mean, it's a good dividend stock, right? It's just, I just don't like these. I don't know. Like I said, outside of the indexes, it kind of reminds me of MO. Like these stocks that seem world renowned that are great, they still have a lot of potential into the future. It's just that some of them almost feel like they're maturing to some extent. And I could be wrong, right? Like, I think these companies could have some good potential in their future. It's just why. Like, I know PPC Ian loves Starbucks, but I just don't understand why. Like, I mean, it's just retail. And retail that, like, idiots are willing to pay a premium for coffee. And again, I'm not trying to be mean here. I just went out and I bought bubble tea and I spent like $14 fucking on 2 drinks. I get it. Like, I completely understand if you love Starbucks, it's your thing. I just, those daily people, and you could be one of them, I'm making a little bit of fun of you. Yes, if you are a daily Starbucks drinker, you need to get your head checked because, my God, to spend the kind of money on these fancy drinks, black coffee, yeah, it's not as expensive. You just get your regular, it might not be as bad, but fuck, man. I just don't get these premium brands. I'm sure like, the Abani wedding, like if you saw the Abani wedding this weekend, like that dude owns some premium brands. That dude's got some exposure to some big fucking companies, probably Louis Vuitton and some shit. And those companies do well, but they just don't sit with me very well. That's the problem. Even daily Tim Hortons. To be honest, bro, don't hate me for this. You don't have to be as frugal and as insanely cheap as I am. I make instant coffee. I'm so lazy. I have a French press. I've been debating on buying a drip coffee maker, but here's the problem. My dilemma. I'm not going to go buy a Keurig coffee machine and spend an absurd, like, my fiance's dad was trying to justify Keurig to me because they're like, well, if you're going to Tim Hortons or you're buying coffee for $1, you might as well just buy a Keurig machine. It's slightly cheaper, but I don't even do that. So it's like I'm drinking instant coffee that probably costs like 10 cents to make in the morning. And I'm lazy and I'm cheap. Tim Hortons, man, it adds up if you're drinking it every day. But again, you gotta have some life. And yeah, I don't got anything against it. If you want to get coffee on the way to work in the morning, do whatever vice keeps you happy, man. I love Starbucks, but I drink $6 iced coffee at like 4 different places every week. Yeah, I don't know. You don't have to be as bad. Like I spend dumb money on shit. That's the problem. We all have our vices, right? I mean, like I said, I'll do an office tour and you guys will see the stupid shit that I'm looking at right now that I bought, and it's probably going to blow your mind. Maybe I'll do that for tomorrow's video. Before we do a market update and see what happens after this Trump attempted assassination, I'll show you my dumb shit that I buy and what I actually enjoy spending money on, because I'm sure nobody would guess. I'm sure if you looked around my office right now, you'd be like, yeah, it's not what I'd be expecting for a guy that's a bit of a stock market nerd, because none of this shit has anything to do with the stock market. It's not Pokemon either. It's a lot weirder than that. If you stay away from pop, Pepsi, and Coke, you still get they do for sure. But again, they're not. I don't know if they have any major growth brands, right? Like the problem right now is Coke and Pepsi are competing with brands like Logan Paul, right? Like Prime, like even Monster Energy is having to compete with Prime. Yeah, the whole drink sector, you don't realize how unstable things are. Like they can be stable for so long, and then things just shift and new brands come in. Generations change, right? It's another reason that I like Tesla so much. I don't like it when the value gets nuts, but you got to recognize that, like, when you talk to kids about Teslas and you look at like the next generation's reactions. And I mean, it's not like Tesla's sponsoring Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast had like 5 Cybertrucks he was giving away in his last video that he just posted. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. The promotion that Elon gets without doing anything. Model planes, life-size anime girl pillows. Oh, I love the guess here. No model planes. I'm not into anime. I did like Death Note. If you haven't watched Death Note, it's a really good. It's surprisingly good. Any good anime recommendations? I never liked anime until I watched Death Note. I haven't really watched much past it. ER go there. Yeah, I don't get Starbucks at all. I never go there. Yeah, it can be your thing. I get it. If you're rich enough, sure, fuck it. I know a lot of people that used to drink it every day, but they had like 6-figure salaries. Nike, Kyle. Nike. No, Nike's another one of those brands, man. It's a premium brand. I own Nike shoes. I have one pair of Nike shoes, and I also had a pair of Yeezys, and I ended up selling the Yeezys before he went through his drama, and I was super lucky I got the price I got for them because I sold them for like hundreds of dollars. But Nike, man, I don't know, it's a premium brand. Like, could have a comeback. I hate when people like Jeremy always say, oh, could have a comeback. I mean, it's likely that it'd have a comeback, but it's such a premium thing, and I just don't get it, man. I'm not a shoe guy. I'm not a clothes guy. I'm not buying Louis Vuitton. I mean, the shirts and stuff that I buy here are literally like, I can't even find my white shirts at Walmart. I'm such a loser, bro. I don't wear Nikes. Like, if you saw me in reality, man, I'm driving my Hyundai Accent that has a fucking hole in the goddamn muffler I have to get patched. And I'm just like, and I'm investing like 10 grand. The guy did the math. They invest in like 10 grand a month. I'm like, not fixing my car. I'm not buying Nikes. I'm not doing anything civil other than buying the stupid shit that sits in my office that I'll show you guys later. I don't want to spoil it now, but we'll leave that up to speculation. But yeah, let's take a look at Nike. I mean, their earnings weren't like, it's a good company. If you like it, buy it. If you like the stock, man, just like Roaring Kitty says, if you like it, buy it. I don't get it. Look at the revenues here. Oh, this market cap. Where's revenues? Give me the revenues. Don't give me this crap. So actually, let's see the statistics. What's happened going on with their margins? What's Nike's return on? Yeah, their margins suck too. Man, I can't get over Nike's only making 11 and 12% profit. How are profit margins 11%? How is that possible? Doesn't Nike like make a fortune on these shoes? They charge hundreds of dollars for them. Yeah, wow. No, it should be higher. The gross profit's way higher. That doesn't make sense. Their gross profit looks pretty decent. It's more than 30%. It should be more than 30%. At least I hope it would. Why is their profits down so much? That seems weird. What are their expenditures? Operating expenses are pretty high. That's probably because of storefronts, right? I mean, they do operate a lot of storefronts. But yeah, it's Nike for you. It's retail. I'm sure they got probably selling. Do they make any money on StockX? Like, when you resell a pair of Nike shoes, do they make any money on that? Do they own StockX? That'd be interesting to find out. I don't know that. I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to that. Balance sheet wise, a lot of debt too, man. Nike's got 23.5 billion in debt. The question is what is that debt made up by? Current liabilities at 9 billion is pretty high. What do they got for cash? A lot of cash. I mean, they're cash rich, which is nice. I'm curious what their liabilities are. Do they own like a lot of real estate or anything? Like, how do they operate their stores? I'd love to see what the breakdown of this debt is, because if they actually own some like physical locations or something, or if they're leasing, I'd hate leases, and I'm sure they're leasing because they're in malls. Sorry, I'm doing a deep dive and getting all caught up in Nike here. What's your opinion on semiconductor ETF and the future capital gains? What do you mean? For future capital gains, I'd avoid it like the plague right now, to be honest. Outside of the S&P or maybe the Qs, I'd be real careful with buying into semiconductor ETFs right now. You've had good time to get into them, but now is the time to be a bit cautious and maybe even setting some stop losses. So Jeremy is up a lot now, I would presume. I mean, he owns nothing but big tech companies: Amazon, Meta, Tesla. I mean, Tesla just gave him a 50% gain. It's one of his largest positions. No, Costco clothing. Oh, Bud. Costco clothing all the way. Look at this shit. Look at my wonderful Costco pants, baby. Yeah, look at this. It blurs out a little bit, but fuck yeah. I'm literally wearing my Costco pants today. And I love it because if you're like somebody that shops at a nice store and you get nice clothes, you don't go into Costco to shop for clothes often enough. You don't recognize what kind of clothing they have. So even though I'm in public with all the, especially in Toronto, people dress pretty nice. They look at me and they're like, oh, that guy looks all right. They don't really know I'm wearing Costco pants. It's a beautiful thing. The 150 hot dog is holding the world economy together. Fucking right, it is. I bought a pair of ons. Cool. What collectibles are you into? A lot of weird shit. Unfortunately, it's like one of my worst. So here's the thing. This is how you get me when I buy shit. All right. I'm one of these guys where I'm like, if I look at something that I'm into, like if I'm actually into it, for example, I'll give you one stupid example here. All right. I don't know if you guys ever watched H3 podcast, but there was, I'll show you the stupid thing that I got into. This is how dumb I am. This is how dumb I am when I buy shit. H3 podcast with Trisha Paytas. You guys ever watch this shit? This was like one of the most watched podcasts. Like, and the drama was just beautiful. Beautiful. I'm getting to a point here, I promise. But if you ever watched this, it was probably like one of the most heated podcasts. It was so awesome. And anyways, they dropped merch, and I actually bought, because we were so into it, and I'm like, this is gonna sell out. Like, there's millions of people watching this stupid podcast, and me and my fiance were really into it. So I bought 2 sweaters with the idea that I'm gonna sell one and we can keep one. And I ended up selling, I bought 2 sweaters, and I think it was like 300 US or something stupid. It was a lot. Like, it was so dumb. It were like, I think it was almost 100, mid 100, 150 with shipping, right? And even my fiance is like, you're crazy. It's just whatever. Anyways, I ended up selling one of those sweaters for over $300. So it literally paid for one sweater, and I got my money back. So it's like, I literally got to own something that we enjoyed, and I didn't have to pay for it. Now, I'm doing the same thing right now with something. My buddy sold me something that you can't buy anymore without spending over $1,000. Well, it's about $1,000, and I ended up buying it for $600. And I feel like an idiot because now I look at this thing and I'm like, I should sell it. But if I'm into something and I understand it well enough, and I see somebody selling something that I know is like a limited edition and it's within my affordability range, I almost bought a pair of Houdini thumb cuffs because I used to be a full-time magician. I talked myself out of that sale because it would have dropped me a couple G's. And I didn't really know the upside to it because I don't understand the resale for magic props. So I kind of avoided it because I don't like buying things that in the future I don't think are going to have value. Best place to eat before sporting event, concert, downtown Toronto. I like the Cactus Club personally. It's a little out of the way. I think it's on, is it on King Street? Where's Cactus Club? If you like, I like Cactus Club. It's got a good vibe to it. It's got a nice little rooftop patio. Not the greatest views, but it's nice. If you don't want to spend too much money, it's like get a good variety of stuff there, and it's not too expensive. Costco finally raised membership prices, and it was barely. Yeah, so they make it hard now because we want to go cheap out on the $1.50 hot dog, and we can't because you have to have the membership, right? And now you can't buy anything without the MasterCard, so we literally have to bum off like the parents. Because the $1.50 hot dog and drink's not really worth it if you have a membership. That's where they get you. 300 USD, that's like 0.05% of Berkshire Hathaway stock. Yeah. That's how I think too, buddy. I look at the dumb shit that I buy and I'm like, if I could sell this fridge, I'm spoiling it already. I'm already saying too much. If I sell the stupid thing I bought for 600 for like 11 or 1200, I doubled my money, and that would be enough to make me, an extra 50, 60 bucks annually with a dividend at 4 or 5%. That's how I think about life. Every time I'm spending money, that's point percentage I should be getting paid instead of spending it. Anyways, I got to stop rambling. You guys got me going on a tirade here of insanity. Is there anything else we can finish up with before I break the internet and say something that I'm probably going to end up regretting? Yeah, I don't know what else is to be said, boys, girls. Are we all excited for a fucking whirlwind of life? I mean, I wake up every day and I try and remind myself that the existential crisis that exists, that hangs over me every day, if I just look at it as entertainment value, life becomes a lot easier to grasp. Gold prices. Gold stocks are starting to have a bit of a comeback. Gold stocks are probably by far the cheapest. Some of the cheapest stocks out there, but I probably won't buy them. I don't like gold at all. I own it though. I'm excited for earnings season. Yeah, earnings season scares me a little bit, to be honest. I'm looking at Tesla specifically because I'm kind of thinking that when it comes to earnings, that Tesla's going to have like dog crap earnings. And I'm just curious because I can't be the only one that's expecting this. Like, come on. I can't be the only one presuming Tesla's not going to have good earnings, because I presume for most of this year it was going to be crap. So, is it going to be able to hold this? Is this like a false little pump, an overhyped pump before the dump? I think what we're going to head into is a pump, and I'm into that event in August or October, if they actually move it back to October. So I'm curious too if it's going to be a volatile month for a lot of stocks. There's so many catalysts at play. Is 40% VDY too much at age 30? Yes, probably a little bit too much. Depends what you want. Depends on what you're doing. If you like VDY enough, the problem is VDY is so heavily concentrated in Royal Bank and Toronto Dominion Bank that if, let's say you did 60% the S&P 500, your two largest positions will still be TD and RY. And the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want the Canadian banks to be the largest in your portfolio? Because that's basically what you're doing. And I don't think it's the worst decision, but it is a lot. I'm trying to think, I'm gonna show you one thing here quick, and then I'll get out of your hair, because this is a useful tool. You guys can use this. It's free. It's very helpful. Somebody was asking me, and I was thinking about leaving it as a secret, even though you could have just looked at the URL that I was using. But what I like to use is a website called Portfolio Pilot, because a lot of portfolio trackers tend to charge you for this. I think this is free. Don't get me wrong. I think this is free. I'll give you guys a little bit of a freebie for those that stuck around for the whole stream. Will you show me this already? I don't want to edit it. Show me my portfolio. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. So let me share this with you guys. So this is called Portfolio Pilot. I use the spreadsheet for the most part, but if you just want to have a little bit of fun and just get a little bit more insight into your portfolio, you just plug in the values. You don't even have to put the amount of shares you own. You can just put in what the current value of it is, and it'll auto count the shares for you. You don't have to link your account. You can link your account. I usually don't. I don't like giving out third-party data to a bunch of websites, but I mean, you can literally just sign up for free, and this will literally show you all the overlay of your stocks. And this is what I told you guys when you're buying ETFs. Like if you're buying a lot of ETFs, what I recommend is taking all those ETFs, putting the values into a program like this, and getting to see what the overlays are. Because like I said, this way you can understand if you're over concentrating in a stock that might be in VYM, SCHD, and it is in the S&P. Like if you're buying those three stocks, you're going to notice like the weightings are going to be all over the place because so many of those stocks overlap, right? So this is, I look at this maybe once a quarter or once every half year, and it just gives me a really good clerical view of where my actual positioning is. Because people think when they buy ETFs, they're not really buying individual stocks. I always find there seems to be some kind of a disconnect. You're like, oh, you're just buying a passively weighted basket, but it's not. It's literally divvying up my money for me and saving me the management fee and the headache of having to reposition the portfolio all the time, right? So it's just allowing somebody to take that out of my hands. But I still want to know that I'm not being an idiot with my money, because unlike giving it to a mutual fund manager, I am still the manager of the ETFs. Like I'm picking what ones I want. So you just want to be real careful, because you don't want to be overexposed to certain companies, right? I mean, you could be shocked to find out that maybe Altria Group or some shit's your biggest holding. Who knows? Whatever you're happy with. Plus, it's nice getting sector exposure because you don't want to be overexposed. My rule of thumb is usually no more than 20% to any given sector. That's usually a good rule of thumb. And usually, for me, again, it depends on the situation you're in. Because I own a piece of real estate, I have a lot of assets in other parts of my life. I don't mind making Tesla or an individual stock 10% of my equity portfolio. If I didn't own any other assets and like my equity portfolio was all that I owned, I would be a lot more hesitant on, upper weighting stocks to 10% or more at this point. But yeah, it's a fun little website. Try it out. It also shows you, I think there's some other cool metrics on here that it shows. I haven't messed around with this in a while. Wasn't there portfolio matrix? I don't know. I've messed around with this before, but I'm pretty sure there's more features on here you can explore with, because it will break down some economic risks and stuff like that, and shows you some different sector developments. It's kind of interesting overall. But yeah, damn, this is useful. Yeah, it's a fun little useful tool you guys can take with you if you want. Because spreadsheets, I can also send you my spreadsheets. I think I sell them, or you get them, you join my Patreon, which I don't really promote that much. But yeah, this is a very useful free tool, I think. Super cool. I agree, but I'll hold until August 8th, in my opinion. Yeah, that's my plan. I'm sure you're talking about Tesla, the August event. Or wait, that's not what you're talking about. What are you talking about? I agree, but is that when the Tesla event was, that they supposedly moved back to October? That might be fake news. I don't know. Thanks for the tip. No problem, guys. I'll do a deep dive. We'll come back around, folks. I got to do some fact checking so I don't sound like I'm out of line. But yeah, anyways, entertaining week, man. I don't know what to say, but get ready, because you can't have crazy ups without crazy downs. Oh, did they move it? I think they moved it to October, but I don't know if that was real. Let's just check real quick. Let me just check. Tesla. Tesla. Did they move it? Because that was the reason that the stock plummeted, right? Tesla's share plummeted after Bloomberg reported that the company was pushing back its much hyped robotaxi event from August 8th to sooner in October. But I don't know if Elon confirmed this or not. Did he? I don't really care, to be honest. It doesn't really phase me that much. I don't mind waiting an extra month. I don't care what the market says. What do you think of QMAX ETF? Oh, goodness. You guys and your option ETFs. We'll come back around. Don't worry, folks. Enjoy your evening. Stay safe. Stay awesome. Don't be going to Trump rallies. Probably should avoid Biden rallies. The guy might fall on you when you shake his hand. Just stay diligent. Remember, the everything has risk. It doesn't matter what stock you're buying or when you're crossing the street. Just be pessimistic, because the pessimist always survives. Just because that light's red doesn't mean some asshole's not running that red light. So just keep your eyes open, stay diligent. That's how we're going to make money, folks. Crazy ups and downs like my dating life. Join the club. Actually, no, don't. You need to join my club. Join the marriage club. Less volatility. Peace out, folks.